Welcome back to Takeout. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio, longtime critic of former special counsel Jack Smith. Well, yesterday, Jordan had a chance to question Smith, as did many other members of the Judiciary Committee, during his first public congressional testimony. Earlier today, I spoke with the congressman about that and a lot more. Here's our conversation. Mr. Chairman, former special counsel Jack Smith, related to his testimony before your committee yesterday, said he fears he could be a target of federal prosecution. Do you believe Jack Smith is a worthy potential target for federal prosecution? And if so, why?
Yeah, that's a question for the Justice Department. What I do know is we've deposed not only Jack Smith last month, but we've also deposed 3 of his deputies, Mr. Wyndham, Mr. Bratt, Mr. Cooney. In fact, Mr. Wyndham took the fifth, I think, 71 times. Mr. Bratt took the fifth, I think, 75 times in his deposition. And we have referred Thomas Wyndham, one of Jack Smith's top deputies, to the Justice Department because we felt he was obstructing our investigation. Now, what the Justice Department may decide to do with Jack Smith, I leave that up to them, but I trust Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and the folks who run the Justice Department in the Trump administration.
In relating to the testimony yesterday, Jack Smith said the following. I want you to listen to it. Not about his attempt to prosecute President Trump, but about President Trump's decision on day one, returning to the presidency, to pardon everyone who had either been convicted or pled guilty to crimes related to the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. Please listen to what Jack Smith said.
I do not understand why you would mass pardon people who assaulted police officers. I don't get it. I never will.
Are you comfortable with those pardons of everyone involved in January 6th, including those who violently hit police officers?
Jack Smith doesn't get to decide. Our Constitution is clear. The pardon power is a power that is exclusive to the presidency, and the president can pardon whoever he darn well wants. I mean, we saw it in the previous administration. You saw President Biden pardon his family. You saw him give preemptive pardons to the people who were on the January 6th committee. So President Trump can use the pardon power however he wants. That's a unique power exclusively that resides with the president. He chose to exercise it that way.
Are you comfortable with it?
I think the whole country is comfortable with it because we elected President Trump as president. He can then make the decision as president who he's going to pardon. Just like when Joe Biden was in office, he got to pardon who he wanted to. That's a power that is, again, with the president, and it is the Constitution gives it exclusively to the president, and they can exercise it in any way they choose.
How comfortable or uncomfortable are you, Mr. Chairman, with the way the Justice Department has handled attempted prosecutions of James Comey and Letitia James?
I mean, again, that's a call for the Justice Department. What I know is yesterday, I think the whole country could see, for those who tuned in, that Jack Smith was no different than James Comey, Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis. He was part of this weaponization effort, this political effort to go after their political opponent, in this case, President Trump. And it's been a 10-year-long, decade-long effort by the left to go after President Trump. And the country saw through it. They saw through it all, as evidenced by the fact that they elected President Trump back in November 2024, the second time to President of the United States. So that's what I think came through. So much so that Jack Smith said in the hearing yesterday, he was still contemplating putting Cassidy Hutchinson on the stand. Everyone in the country knows what she said in that primetime hearing of the January 6th committee wasn't true. And yet Jack Smith was thinking about, if it ever got to trial, putting her on the witness stand. Jack Smith was so determined to get President Trump, he went and got the phone records of over a dozen members of Congress, including the Speaker of the House, knew who he called, who called him, when it took place, how long it lasted, patterned his whole life for a 2-month time frame. That is wrong, and everyone knows that. But that was the effort they were willing to go to, the length they were willing to go to in their quest to get President Trump in this political prosecution that you saw, an investigation you saw from the special counsel.
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask you about something that I know, broadly speaking, the committee pays attention to: constitutional rights of Americans. The Department of Homeland Security has created a new legal advisory to federal immigration officers that they can, if required, use force to enter a private residence without a judicial warrant. They can use an administrative warrant. On my program yesterday, Richard Blumenthal was on And I asked him about that. This is what he said. I'd like you to listen, please.
It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It is legally and morally abhorrent. It reflects and exemplifies what's happening in real time in America today. The abuses, dangerous, and destructive policies that are occurring in Minneapolis and all around the country, documented even before Minneapolis and Renee Good's death in a report that I did as a result of an investigation as the ranking member on the permanent subcommittee on investigation. That's the reason the whistleblowers came to me with this secret policy.
Do you support this new policy, Mr. Chairman?
Well, what I support is ICE agents being able to do their job. Right now, ICE agents are being doxxed, they're being tracked, they're being spit on, they're being harassed while they're trying to enforce federal law. If you interfere with the enforcement of federal law, that is a problem, that is a crime, and that's what the Justice Department is looking into. They've developed they have this warrant where you can go and apprehend people who are here illegally who've done all kinds of bad things. I think the country supports that. We heard all kinds of testimony today, from Mr. Bovino, head of Customs and Border, talking about what was happening to kids, all the bad things these individuals are doing, and yet somehow it is wrong to go apprehend people who are here illegally and who have also committed crime. That's I think the country, that was the heart of this last election. The president campaigned on this issue, and I think the country supports it. What they don't support is this environment created by the left that makes it so difficult for agents to enforce the law. I mean, remember the agent who got attacked by the illegal migrant who committed all kinds of crimes with a shovel just a week and a half ago? That the country sees how wrong that is, and I think supports law enforcement enforcing the law.
Before I let you go, Mr. Chairman, on this particular point, though, because I have been with ICE on enforcement actions, they have what they call a knock and talk, which they knock on the door, and because they are not allowed to enter unless they are invited in, they don't enter. This new policy says you can enter even if you don't have an independent judicial warrant to enter someone's private residence. Are you comfortable with that?
They have a warrant signed off by a judge from the executive branch versus from the judicial branch. So it's still a warrant that they are using to execute and to enforce the law. So it's still a warrant. I think you got to have a warrant to do that. They have one but we have some judges in our immigration enforcement system who are in the executive branch versus the separate and equal branch, the judicial warrant that you're talking about. So there's still a warrant involved in doing this. What I also know happens,
and just so I'm clear on this, you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, we're looking at the legal analysis, and I think that's appropriate.
And you would be comfortable with that under a Democratic administration as well, I presume?
Again, like I said, we're looking at the legal analysis that's being put out by Homeland Security. We're reviewing all that, but that's my understanding how it works, and I think that is consistent with how our great system is supposed to operate, and certainly consistent with the election that took place when President Trump ran on this issue of securing our border and finding those individuals who are here illegally who have done terrible things and making sure they're removed from the country.
It's an ongoing conversation, Mr. Chairman. I hope you'll come back and join us for a longer one. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the time very much. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.